Hi, this is Arik,
And Aurelia.
and we're here to talk about life and interesting things.
Or so we think, but in the end, you will be the judge of it.
Either way, what we have to talk about is Ageless.
Ageless!
Aurelia, welcome. We were talking a little bit earlier, the other day, you were telling me about a book that you're reading, and I thought it was so interesting. Well, you want to tell us a little bit about the book that you're reading?
Well, it's a thriller and it's all about a machine that can totally interfere with the American elections. And so it's about, finding out like where is it and who got it and how can we get it back before a lot of damage is done. And then,
Wait, what?
uh-huh.
Like,
Yeah.
did you know that that's what it's about? Like when you started reading it,
No, not at all.
or like when did you start? Did you start reading it like around election time, or?
Yeah, I just started reading it like a couple of weeks ago. It is the new Jack Reacher for anybody who is interested, because I'm a great Reacher fan, and
Yeah, I like the movies.
and it's his Lee Child's newest book, and it just came out, and so I started reading it, and I couldn't believe that that's what I was reading about.
Wow, that's unbelievable.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
Uh-huh. And I mean, I don't want to talk about it for any, spoilers, but
Right,
it's
right.
really, I talked to Arik about it, and I said, wow, can you believe like what's happening in this book? This is like so outrageous, and can you imagine something like that? And next thing we hear is about this whole Dominion thing, and I go like, oh
like
my
actually
God,
going on in the world.
like sometimes like these like writers, I don't know where they tuned in, or
I can tell you.
tell me.
Because it's like, like anytime that, like that you're writing or creating something, like you can, like obviously you access that state. I mean, if you're a really good writer, like you access that state that's where everything is available, like the collective unconscious. And everything's available past, present, future, and however they write about it, it's like totally up to them. Like they may or may not be aware that that's gonna happen, but it's definitely a potential.
Well, I hope so, because the other book that I was reading recently, that really blew my mind, and I could not stop talking about it, because that was written like in 2015 or 2016. And that seriously was about like some like meta society, above the CIA and the NSA and the whatever, all the abbreviations with all the many letters. Like, so a mega society or organization of that, like they were unleashing a virus to decimate the population.
Wow.
And I was like, I can't believe what I am reading.
Yeah. I mean, it's really intense, because I remember there was a case, actually, like there are different cases. This has happened, I think, to many like songwriters, for example, where then if you channel a song, then like someone on the other side of the planet can channel it too. And there's been actual court cases about like plagiarism, like who wrote it first. And
yeah, the 100 Monkey Syndrome.
Oh, you want to elaborate on that?
Okay, after you. I'm sorry, I
interrupted. No. That's all I wanted to say. I mean, it's like they both, like, several people can write the same book or the same song or whatever, and then of course, what you can copyright or protect is the expression of it. But intellectual property cannot be. I mean, like, you cannot copyright an idea. You cannot. You can't. But the expression you can. But if you're channeling it, then the light, and the universe chooses people to like kind of like channel things. But sometimes it could be like several outlets at a time.
Yeah, it's like with the 100 Monkey Syndrome, like the way I understand it or remember it, is like the field, like how you always like the attractive fields that we create,
Yeah.
and like that is everywhere,
Mm-hmm.
and at the same time everywhere. And so they kind of found out about that when they were in like some, please don't call me on the geography, Google it if you must, but the way I remember it is like they were on like some South Pacific island, whatever, and they trained some monkeys like to do some tricks, and then without any obvious connection on another island, the monkeys could do that too.
Yeah. Yeah. That. Well, yes, that would be kind of like what we're talking about here. I mean, definitely like part of like the interdependence and the attractor fields, and also like how the particles, like, if they're in synchronization and one stops, and then on the other side of the universe, it'll also, the other one will also stop, like they're synced in.
Yeah.
So that definitely, I feel like that's more of like a horizontal connection, but like the vertical connection, like, like having these inspirations and writing them down, like where several people, it's actually kind of funny if you think about it. Like if several people have this inspiration, and like God just kind of says, okay, here's an idea and let's see who actually does something with it, and like five people have these ideas, and for one person it could be like just a thought, and the other person's like very inspired by it but doesn't take any action, and another person maybe has a dream about it and then does take an action on it, and only one person brings it out into the physical world, and for the other people it was just a thought or a dream, or like just a good idea or whatever. But maybe it's like, okay, so here's a thought and someone's gonna do it,
Yeah, exactly.
or it could be really unique and one person gets it and then they have to do it, and if they don't, then they have to keep reincarnating until they do. I think there's all kinds of scenarios, and it's all kind of crazy, but I think it's just really interesting how you're always reading books that are really timely and like very reflecting what's going on. So I mean, like, are you allowed to do anything
100%.
recreational and unrelated to what's going on?
I don't know.
Uh-huh.
I would just think I got that from my mom because she is known to, you talk to her about something and she's never heard of it, and you explain it to her what it could be. And next time you meet her, says, you know what? I saw it on TV, what we were talking about,
right.
And then she becomes the expert on it.
That's right. And I've even called her TV her magical mirror.
Yes, exactly.
I say it's her magical mirror. It's
so
not a TV. That thing's not even on, and she's getting all the wisdom through it. She just has to come through the TV so she doesn't think she's going crazy.
It's so funny. But I really think what I wanted to say, really, that this is probably a gift that I have to just like attract these things, because I'm not
Attractor field.
Yeah, I am not an exception to the law that like everything is already there, and then my reality is a reflection of myself, and this is how this works out for me, or this is how I play it out.
Well, it's really interesting because like later this year we're gonna have the conjunction between Jupiter and Saturn. And
yeah, something to look forward to.
Yeah, I mean, we have to get through the eclipse season, and then we're having the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction. And I mean, really, they are conjunct already, but like it's a wide, what's called a wide conjunction, like a wide orb. But like then, it becomes exact. And I mean, that's kind of intense. This alignment between the biggest planet and the smallest planet, but like the mightiest planet of them all.
Yeah.
So it's like we have to really be mindful about that, and to not get all dramatic and to exaggerate any kind of judgments or darkness and stuff like that. I mean, do you want to, what do you see it as? Like, and it's happening in Capricorn, by the way.
Like for me, it's just, yes, it is like a huge dichotomy, like Jupiter, the planet of expansion, and Saturn, the planet of contraction. If you want, it's like a migraine headache. if you think of it
Oh
that
yeah,
way.
sorry, I said Pluto. I meant Saturn. I was talking about because Jupiter and Pluto are conjunct right now, so I got it confused. Sorry, Jupiter and Saturn. You're right. You're
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
hmm Um, I don't know that you said that. Well, either way, it doesn't matter.
Mhm.
So for me, it's like this, what I like to describe as a migraine headache,
Yeah.
expansion and contraction at the same time, like where you cannot decide, is it this or is it that? So
Mhm.
which way is it going to go? And then it's in Capricorn, which, looks more in favor of Saturn, like the crystallization and
Yeah, that's interesting.
hmm. So this, I think, is why it's so important that now we have been talking about it and you've been writing about it like for months and months and months and months. Like we have to keep our hearts open. We have to now dig deep, like with Pluto and Jupiter, and to really get everything out of the way that keeps us from expanding, so that our expansion vehicle, so to speak, uh, is strong enough by the time Saturn hits that it can crystallize some, like manifest or create something that we really want, like something that's a bit different than it was before, something that is more of a higher vibration, is all I can say, rather than just crystallizing down and then, having Jupiter collapse onto itself, which could also happen.
If you overlay this alignment over the chart of the United States, it's like it's having its Pluto return. So Pluto there with Jupiter and Saturn meeting each other close to Pluto. I mean, that's pretty intense.
Very.
I
Like a
mean,
migraine headache, like right there.
I've been soft spoken and outspoken about the potential civil war that could break out.
Yeah.
But I also really firmly believe that it could be prevented.
Yeah.
But there will most definitely be this new phase coming, like that you're talking about, like absolutely, like maybe different, maybe like not even like how you have a civil war and then what happens after it. We might skip the civil war part, but there will be all these changes without the violence, like the physical violence anyhow. Like there could be like new territories, and then we have the whole notion of the vaccine and who's taking it, who's not taking it. I mean, just changes are going to happen and very quickly.
Yeah. I mean,
Because
as
Jupiter
to
is change. It's
yeah,
the
and
wheel of
and and,
fortune.
and as to what this gonna look like, I really cannot speak to that at all. I
No.
have no idea. Like I said, I have to leave it with that intense tension that everybody who ever had a migraine or a strong headache, or felt a pull between two poles, can, I think, relate to when I say that. Like this incredible, incredible tension that, yes, something could break
Mm-hmm.
or something beautiful could
Could
come.
build.
Yeah, could
Because
build.
you can build from tension.
Yes, absolutely. hmm
So how can we deal with tension like in our own daily lives, like just on a personal level?
Oh, wow, this is a very difficult question to answer, because this is very case by case. Why is the tension
Okay, let
showing
me ask
up?
you this then. Does tension have to do with something that's intense?
Hmm.
Like intention. Like not intention, but like intention.
Yeah.
Like being tense
Oh,
and
like that you are
like you're
in
tense.
tension.
Like, tense and
Yeah, I mean,
tension.
like if that's what it is, that it's just the same thing in our personal life, then we are just being pulled in two different directions.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
in
wow.
order to know, how to handle it, I need to look into what are these two different
that's
poles.
what I wanted to ask you. Like,
okay.
generally, what are these two different directions? What I feel right off the bat is just like one is the direction of my ego, and the other is the direction of like my guidance, of my essential self. And I think it's really all coming down to that.
That's usually what it is, yes. That's what it is. Like, on the one hand, it could be like all the things you should be doing.
Yeah, like we can make it very, very surface. Like, I want to go, like,
it's difficult now because our things that we can do are so limited.
Yeah, but that's just then use theoretical, like, we're loving the Queen's Gambit.
Yes.
On Netflix, right? Like, just we're obsessed. Like, I had to take a break so we can do this Ageless. Just kidding. But it's like, on one hand, like, oh, well, I don't want to spoil it for anybody, so I'll use another example. But, like, say, like, I just kind of, like, change it a little bit. Like, say, like, you want to study art, but then, like, but then the other tense direction would be like to do this nuclear family thing.
Yeah, like where you have to take the family business.
Or like, be the husband or be the wife or whatever it is. Like, you know what I mean? Like, say, and so like this is two different directions that create an opposition. And I think chances are if you take the ego road, then you will keep on feeling the tension. But if you take the higher self, the guidance road, then that tension's released, and then there's another tension that comes up.
And either one could be the ego road.
I'm not saying
the artist could be totally
yes.
the ego.
That's really interesting. Elaborate on that a little bit, like how ego can really be anything.
Well,
like it could be like, I want to go save everybody in Haiti. Yeah, but it might be my ego.
100%.
But how could it be my ego? I'm helping all those people.
Yeah, but it still can be the ego because most of the time
But I'm such a good person.
Yeah, exactly. And that's, if you have any notion of that, then it's the ego. I mean, I know it sounds very cold and very cruel, but it still is true. It is that true.
Way. Because then it's like you're doing it for your ego and not really for the other.
Yeah, that's right. And also one thing is, often is then, you have like a million pictures on your Instagram showing that you're helping all these people. And if you're really just doing something for somebody else that's just genuine, you'll probably never talk
anonymous about charity and, tithing and whatnot is the most powerful. It is the most powerful.
But even that could be the ego. So this is why it is very, very difficult to talk about the ego. This is why you need, the further you come on your path, the more you need a qualified teacher. Because, even this, when on the surface, this could look so good because, I'm like all anonymous and I'm not saying anything. And then this could be your ego gratification that you think like, oh, secret, I'm so good. It's really, you need somebody who has mastered these traps, who then really, to whom you are very transparent, like a person who knows all the tricks.
Yeah.
And knows then exactly by the energy, by the vibration, that's the ego and that's the guidance.
Until you're really honest enough to be able to do it yourself.
Yes.
Which in most cases is the ego pretending, like, masquerading as honesty.
Well, at some point, it's like you will have that great clarity, but yes, that's a long way of atonements off. That's many steps you have to take. And so this is why it is so difficult to talk about the ego and then to say, if it's the action looks like this, it's the ego, or if the action looks like that, it's the ego. It's practically impossible.
Because even being selfish could be the essential self.
100%. And I remember one of my Buddhist teachers, like he had this book of stories and they were really quite cute. And so one of the stories, I forgot actually really what the story was, but, but I remember the quintessence of it that, you know, it was like, of course, with the Buddhists, there's always about the monks that are sitting there and doing their thing and are being holier than thou. And this one guy, he was like completely always out of line, and everybody made fun of him. And then at some point, there was like this disruption of their prayer hour because it turned out that like some building in the village, like miles away, was on fire, and they were like, oh, I'm praying, and then the guy who was always out of line and who nobody liked and thought he was like the most horrible person of all, like got up and like snapped his fingers and then blew a breath and the fire went out. And so it the story goes he was like a manifestation of a high sage. And the point of the story is, and that it says, not everybody who eats and shits eats and shits. And that's original. That's not me saying that. But it really, what it means is like on the outside, things can look exactly the same. Like two people are doing exactly the same thing. And there are universes apart because one comes from ego and one comes from higher self.
I can tell you a story.
Uh-huh.
This is the story of the student and the teacher as well. And this was like the best student that this teacher had. You know, really studied and, you know, like any teacher would wish for. You know, that the student surpasses the teacher. And but this student was a little bit ambitious, and he was like studying with all kinds of, you know, wisdoms and books and really trying to just figure it all out to become the master. And he just didn't understand why his master was like what was so great about him that made him the master. You know, like the student knew as much as he did, you know, about things. So of course one day, you know, he went to the master's house, and the master was just like being very normal and, you know, doing laundry, just doing house chores, and the students there, like, you know, kind of like a little bit standing there in shell shock, or how you call it, like ich schau Blut, you know, like just looking like, oh my god, like to see a master just doing mundane things is like very like degrading in a way, you know, like just kind of like that's not for just normal people to do. And there are two apples on the table, and you know they're eating the apples, and the student just has it. He had it. He said, I don't understand, you know, you eat the apple, I eat the apple, we study the same things, we know the same things. So what makes you so great, like, you know, and what makes me just like still the student, right? And it's really interesting because, you know, of course, to the master, it's like that's the student's perception, you know, whatever. And he says to the student, you know, you look at the tree, and you look at the apple tree, and you praise God, and you pray, and you say, wow, such a beautiful apple tree. I mean, really, like such an amazing place that I'm in, that this tree can come and, you know, bear this beautiful fruit. And then you say a prayer, and then you eat the apple. You know, you say the prayer in order to eat the apple. And the master says, and I see the apple tree, have the same exact perceptions, you know, wow, such a beautiful tree, the universe has made this beautiful tree. and it's bearing this beautiful fruit that we can eat from. And then the master says, where you say the prayer to eat the apple, I eat the apple so that I can say the prayer.
Wow, that is amazing. That's really deep.
And that's really what it's about, you know?
Yeah.
Because you could say that's totally selfish for him just to eat the apple and then, you know, like, whatever. Like, because the other one's is, you know...
Looks much
he's
more
saying the prayer before he eats the apple. Mm-hmm. And, you know, you cannot look at it linearly, but still, I mean, you know, we can have a whole season of Ageless just trying, you know, just talking about both of these stories.
Yeah, definitely.
A person who eats and shits doesn't eat and shit. In this case, eating.
Yeah, and in that case also, it's like, you know, I eat that apple and I praise and thank for that amazing apple and so what if the apple wasn't that good?
Wow.
You know, like that's I think for me, that's the point of the story. Mm-hmm. Because it's only because I feel so fulfilled and so special by this amazing apple, you know, so I praise the Lord. But what if the apple has a worm in it? Will I be doing the same thing? I don't know. Mm-hmm. With the teacher, definitely. Mm-hmm. Because his motivation is absolutely the other way around. For him, it doesn't matter if there's a worm or not. It's still just...
Because we know that this world is made out of a blessing.
Yeah.
You know, this world is made from blessing. So I eat the apple so I can say the blessing. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's what it's about.
And thereby, even if there's the worm in it, I still say the blessing. But the other way around, I'm sure.
It's about the blessing. It's not about the you know, the attachment.
Yeah, or the sensual
the attachment to the senses. Mm-hmm. So then let me ask you this then. Like, do you think that, I mean, this is probably a really difficult question, but do you think there is a difference between a persona and a project? Meaning someone who makes something and maybe they're not necessarily, like, they make something really beautiful, but maybe they're not necessarily a ethical person.
Oh, like, is it possible to divide the art from the artist?
Yeah, that's what I mean, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is.
What about the teacher from the lifestyle?
Well, that's a little bit different because, you know, the teacher, a genuine teacher, could only always teach from his experience, like not from his knowledge, but always like from the experience. So the lifestyle is part of that. And if the lifestyle and the teachings are very, like, not in sync, then the teacher cannot be genuine.
Mm-hmm. So I guess we're coming full circle again, like with an artist and the art, it could just be channeled, and the art might have not really anything to do with the artist. That's like where so many times people meet like singers or directors or actors and like, wow, like they were nothing, like they portrayed it, and of course not, because they were just a medium, like a hierophant, so to speak. Mm-hmm. A medium of that media.
Yeah,
you know. Whereas with, I guess, do you call it a teacher or like a guru or a sage or like a spiritual? I don't even know what to call it, but like just someone who is awakened or
teacher.
A teacher, yeah. Okay.
And it goes for all levels.
Like,
it starts in
like
kindergarten,
a priest or
all the way up to, you know, your highest guru.
Yeah, it could be like, a kindergarten teacher to like His Holiness, you know.
Yeah, because you know it. Like if you try to teach something to somebody that you yourself do not understand, like you yourself have not become no, the other person will not understand it.
Yeah, you cannot bring something that you have that you're not. You
Exactly.
can't.
Because everybody will just feel the vibration of it and will understand it on like maybe a non-verbal
Uh-huh.
level.
So this makes a lot of sense. That I think that also does though apply to art as well. Because like I'm not saying to that level, but I'm just saying like
No, if it's true, it's true.
yeah, but like the mainstream art is could just be like, just pumping songs out or pumping movies out or pumping shows out just for commercial, like just for greed,
Mm-hmm.
and like maybe those people that work on it aren't really like connected and feeling that, but like once in a while you see someone in the mainstream who is actually like a good actor or a good actress or a good singer,
Mm-hmm.
and you're like, wow, like, they're actually like they've lived that. You can see that they lived that, or they've lived something where they can really express that energy in a way that someone who's sensitive or
Mm-hmm.
even maybe even not sensitive can feel it.
Yeah.
And so like I think like that's an alignment with the energy that they're channeling, whereas maybe you can like put these pawns into place and then pretend that they're channeling something, but really like it's a whole team that's doing it, and like it just looks like it's coming through like being a puppet, you know. And I think like it's really interesting, like, because with a teacher who teaches from experience and who has to walk the walk
Mm-hmm.
in order to talk the walk,
Yeah.
like, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
is like there's no separation like between the two, like,
No, there's not.
like you cannot say, oh, that's just his personal opinion.
No, you can say that, but it will not be true, and
No,
it
that's what I
will be
mean,
a
like it's not
like
true.
it's a reflection of you. If we just
The
take
teacher
us
is
like the
living the truth.
yes, but for the student to see that or to understand that, the the student needs the vessel, and a good teacher is there to challenge the student again and again and again, so that this vessel is created. And so, I mean, I could tell stories, we don't have the time for it, but how often I have been misunderstood in the crassest
Well, I
ways.
just wanted to say, because I think it's like with the teacher and the student, it always, of course, depends on the what? The subject.
Yes.
You know, my calculus teacher is there to probably teach me calculus,
But also has to expand your
but
mind.
also has to
Same
expand my
thing.
mind. And here's the other thing. And I think people have so many times misunderstood you, because you being as like a teacher of life, that is encompassing everything. Now here's the real mic drop, is that life is our teacher. Like
Yes.
Miss Kitten says,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Every day I learn.
And
Every day I
and
learn.
so within that, yes, the calculus teacher is there to teach me calculus, but I tell you, if I had past life with this teacher, you have no idea what the real subject is that I need to learn. It could be
Mm,
about my confidence, it could be about, my communication, it could be it could have nothing to do with calculus.
true.
And this could happen. And I think so many times people miss the mark because they don't realize, oh my god, I'm here to learn something.
Mm.
Because everyone thinks that they're here to just teach something.
Yeah, because everybody pretty much thinks they know everything already.
Yeah.
Or how I love to say when somebody is really challenging me on a really, really crass level with those things, where I know they don't understand at
Right.
all
Thank you for getting back to
what
that.
I'm
Yeah.
saying. But however, they're trying to give me lip or have like then their opinion, which they're entitled to. I have no problem with that. But I always tell them, your problem is it's not only that you think you know already what I'm saying, you think you know it better, and that's your downfall. And that's the biggest problem, like, I guess in all societies, but in our society where information is so cheap,
Mm-hmm.
It's the biggest problem why people don't really expand, going back to Jupiter.
Oh my God.
But just
they
contract with all
with the Saturn.
Yes, with all the knowledge that they have. And
yeah, it's like you just gave me this teaching, but I've already fact checked it.
Okay, exactly.
And everything you're saying, as per my Google parameters, because we know when I Google something, I'll get a different response than you, because I've been, tracked for like the past,
100%.
100 years. So like I just fact checked everything that you said, which means like you're just full of it.
Of course I am.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, so like these facts from Google are putting me back in my comfort zone, and I don't have to be threatened by what you're saying, because what you're offering me, Missy, is freedom, and I want nothing to do with that.
Exactly.
Because with freedom comes responsibility, and anytime, a slave is being released from freedom, or someone's getting out of jail, I mean, look at, the Israelites. We're out. Put me back into Egypt, because at least there I got food, I had routine. Yes, it was hard, but now I have to fend for myself and be responsible.
Yeah, 100%. And this is why it is so tempting to going back to the media, make the media your teacher rather than your higher self.
Holy moly.
I know, this is a really deep Ageless that we're having here today, but, if you like it, give me a thumbs up. If you don't like it, I don't care.
It's like I said in the new moon virtual ritual in Scorpio, and, which is setting the seeds for the Sagittarius season and the full moon virtual ritual we're going to have. But it's like, if you hear something, if something false is repeated many times and it becomes a meme, the mind doesn't have the ability to be able to really tell if it's true or not.
That's right. That's right. And this again,
So you can think for yourself, 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 you can think for yourself.
Or like I said in my case, every day I learn, every day I learn, every day I learn, every day I learn.
So this has been Arik
and Aurelia,
and you've just listened to an episode of
Ageless.
Be sure to subscribe, give a thumbs up, and we will talk to you guys next time. Bye!